Some Harley-Davidson modifications may improve your bike's appearance or performance, but they can also violate the law and lead to fines or other penalties. In this video, we count down 15 common modifications that riders often do not realize are illegal, from exhaust systems to oversized handlebars. You may be surprised by the number 1 modification. Even Harley-Davidson faced major penalties over it. Number 15. Removing your rearview mirrors. Let us start with one of the most common modifications in the bobber and chopper community. Riders strip their mirrors off for a cleaner, more streamlined look. The problem is that 46 out of 50 states require at least one functioning rear-view mirror on every motorcycle operated on public roads. California law specifically requires every registered motorcycle to carry a mirror that reflects at least 200 feet of roadway behind the rider. Maine requires the same 200-foot rear visibility standard. Delaware and Georgia mandate 2 mirrors, one on each side, no exceptions. What catches riders off guard is that enforcement depends entirely on the officer. You could ride mirror-free for years, and then one routine traffic stop turns into an equipment violation on your record. Insurance companies can use that violation to deny claims if you are rear-ended. You remove the mirror that would have helped you see the car coming, and the liability shifts to you. Social media is full of clean bobber builds with no mirrors. What those posts never mention is that most of those bikes are not street legal. Forget what you cannot see behind you. The next modification changes what police see on the front of your bike. But the next entry takes a sharper turn. Number 14. Smoked or tinted headlight and taillight covers. Those blacked-out headlight covers and smoked taillight lenses look aggressive on a street bob or fat boy low. They also reduce light output by 30 to 60%. Every state requires motorcycles to display a white headlight visible from 500 feet and a red taillight visible from at least 300 feet. Smoked covers directly compromise those distances. California Vehicle Code Section 25,950 prohibits any modification that alters the required color or intensity of mandatory lighting. Officers do not need a light meter to ticket you. If your taillight appears black instead of red when the brakes are applied, that is a citation on the spot. The real danger is what happens at night. A smoked taillight on a Harley sitting low in traffic makes you nearly invisible to drivers behind you. When someone rear-ends you, your insurance adjuster will photograph that tinted lens before they photograph anything else. Now let us move from what covers your lights to what replaces them entirely. But the next example is the one people usually remember. Number 13. LED and HID headlight retrofits in halogen housings. Dropping a bright LED or HID bulb into the stock halogen headlight housing on your Road King or Heritage Classic seems like a safety upgrade. The science says otherwise. Halogen reflector housings are engineered to shape the beam pattern of a specific filament size and position. LED and HID bulbs sit differently, scattering light in every direction. You blind oncoming traffic while creating dark spots directly in front of you. Kentucky passed legislation specifically banning non-factory colored LED and HID bulbs in headlights. FMVSS 108 governs all motorcycle lighting, and any retrofit that changes the beam pattern technically violates it. Some departments now carry spectral analysis equipment to measure color temperature during traffic stops and prove violations in court. The aftermarket labels these as direct replacements. They are bulbs that physically fit your socket, but optically destroy the reflector pattern your housing was designed around. So your lights are sorted. But what about the parts of your Harley that police cannot see until you ride past? If you thought that was notable, wait for this one. Number 12. Turn signal elimination. Stripping the turn signals off a Harley Sportster or Softail is one of the first things custom builders do. The issue is that Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 108 requires turn signals on every motorcycle manufactured after 1973, which covers virtually every Harley on the road today. California requires at least 2 turn signal lamps on both the front and rear of every motorcycle. Post-1973 models must have those signals spaced at least 16 inches apart. A pair of tiny flush mount indicators crammed next to your headlight might not meet that spacing requirement. Some riders argue they can use hand signals instead. That defense works in a handful of states that exempt older or custom-built motorcycles. But on a factory Harley that left the line with signals installed, removing them is an equipment violation in most jurisdictions. If you are involved in an accident and the other driver claims you did not signal, the first thing investigators check is whether your bike had functioning signals. From missing signals to something that sits right above them. This next one surprises even veteran riders, and this is where things start escalating quickly. Number 11. Ape hanger handlebars that exceed height limits. Tall ape hangers are practically synonymous with Harley-Davidson culture. The problem is that 30 states actively regulate how high your handlebars can sit, and the limits are surprisingly low. Alabama, Connecticut, Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Virginia all cap handlebar height at 15 inches above the seat. Arizona, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, New York, and Massachusetts restrict the grips to shoulder height while seated. California allows 6 inches above shoulder level, which sounds generous until you realize that a 14-inch ape hanger on a low-rider S with its low seat will put most riders well past that limit. The origin of these laws is revealing. High-set ape hangers were banned across 30 states during the 1960s, largely as a legal pretext for police to pull over riders suspected of belonging to outlaw motorcycle clubs. The safety argument came second. The laws stuck. Riders have reported being stopped with stock street glide bars that push the 15-inch limit. At Sturgis, officers have measured factory handlebars on touring models and told riders to lower them. The patchwork of state laws creates a trap for long-distance riders. Your legal bars in New Mexico, which has no height restriction, become illegal the moment you cross into Colorado. If you have made it this far, do us a favor and hit that like button. We spent a lot of time researching every single state law in this video, and it helps more than you know. Now stay with us, because number 1 involves a modification so common that the federal government went after Harley-Davidson directly. And now we are getting into the real heavy hitters. Number 10. Removing the front brake. Chopper and bobber builders sometimes remove the front brake to achieve a cleaner, more minimalist look, especially on motorcycles with raked-out front ends and extended forks. On stretched custom builds, the front brake caliper, rotor, and brake line can interrupt the smooth visual flow of the wheel, so some builders eliminate the entire assembly in pursuit of style. While the result may look cleaner, the consequences are far more serious than many people realize. In most jurisdictions, motorcycles are legally required to have functioning brakes on every wheel that contacts the road. For example, California law specifically requires motor vehicles to be equipped with adequate brakes acting on all wheels. Beyond the legal issues, removing the front brake creates a significant safety hazard. Under normal braking, the front brake is responsible for roughly 70 to 75% of a motorcycle's total stopping power because weight transfers forward, increasing traction on the front tire. Eliminating it does not simply reduce braking performance by that percentage, it completely changes the motorcycle's braking dynamics. During an emergency stop, the rear tire is far more likely to lock and skid long before the bike has slowed enough to avoid a collision, dramatically increasing stopping distances and reducing rider control. A missing front brake caliper is also one of the easiest modifications for law enforcement officers to spot during a routine traffic stop. If your motorcycle is missing its front brake, you could be facing equipment violations, possible reckless driving or endangerment charges depending on the circumstances, and insurance complications if the motorcycle is found to have been illegally modified after a crash. Now, let's move from the parts some riders remove to the modifications they choose to add instead. But the next one is on an entirely different level. Number 9. Underglow and colored LED strip lighting. Those RGB LED strips lining your frame rails and engine guards look incredible at bike night. On public roads, they are a legal minefield. Red and blue lighting is universally banned on civilian vehicles because those colors are reserved for emergency vehicles. Displaying them can escalate from an equipment violation to impersonating emergency services, which is a criminal charge. Arizona only permits amber or white lights on the sides of a motorcycle. Kansas bans all flashing lights. Michigan prohibits red and blue outright. Smartphone-controlled RGB systems create an additional problem. Even if you set them to legal amber, the fact that the system is capable of displaying red or blue can itself be a violation in some jurisdictions. Officers may pull you over just to inspect the controller. Speaking of things officers can hear from a block away, just when it feels like you've seen it all, this appears. Number 8. Straight pipes and muffler deletes. This is the big one that defines Harley culture and generates the most tickets. An estimated 60 to 80% of Harley-Davidson exhausts on the road have been illegally modified, according to data cited by the Quiet Conservancy in presentations to law enforcement. Federal law sets an 80 decibel limit for all street-legal motorcycles. Every factory Harley meets that standard. Straight pipes push sound levels past 100 decibels, with some configurations hitting 115 decibels, louder than a chainsaw and approaching the pain threshold for human hearing. California Assembly Bill 1824, passed in 2019, eliminated fix-it tickets for exhaust violations. Officers now issue immediate fines up to $1,000 per violation. Myrtle Beach measures exhaust at 2 feet behind the muffler tips at idle, over 92 decibels, and you fail. The SAE J1287 stationary sound test sets a 96 decibel limit at half the maximum rated RPM. The myth that loud pipes save lives has been debunked repeatedly. Exhaust sound projects rearward. By the time a driver ahead hears your pipes, you have already passed them. What if the sound is not the problem, but the chemicals coming out of those pipes are? And now we reach a turning point in the list. Number 7. Catalytic converter removal. Every Harley manufactured after the mid-2000s comes with a catalytic converter in the exhaust system. Removing it is a federal crime under Section 203 of the Clean Air Act, regardless of whether your state has motorcycle emissions testing. Riders in Texas or Florida assume that because their state does not smog check motorcycles, removing the cat is legal. It is not. The federal prohibition applies in all 50 states. Current penalties reach $4,527 per tampering event for individuals and up to $45,268 per non-compliant vehicle for businesses. The EPA monitors online marketplaces and social media. Listings advertising race pipes or test pipes with horsepower claims trigger investigations. Shops installing cat delete systems face fines in the hundreds of thousands. The aftermarket labels every cat delete as for off-road or competition use only. That disclaimer does not protect you. If the bike has ever been registered for street use, removing the converter violates federal law regardless of what the packaging says. Now we are getting into modifications that go deeper than bolted-on parts. But the next example is where things really start to shift.
We spent years figuring this out so you don't have to. Ride longer, spend less. The Complete Motorcycle Maintenance Handbook is the shortcut. Every method from this channel, organized and ready to use. Scan the code on screen and it's yours.
Number 6. ECU tuning that defeats emissions controls. Reflashing the ECU on your twin cam or Milwaukee 8 to squeeze out 20 to 40 extra horsepower is one of the most popular Harley performance modifications. The tuning is invisible to visual inspection. The legal exposure is not. The EPA finalized 172 civil enforcement cases between 2020 and 2023, resulting in $55.5 million in penalties and 17 criminal cases with jail time. The agency tracks vehicle identification numbers from tuning shop databases and sends violation notices directly to vehicle owners. Dynajet was hit with a $1 million fine for selling power commanders without CARB certification. Newer Harleys use tamper-evident ECU seals and detect non-factory calibration files during warranty service. Your dealership's diagnostic computer flags the modification automatically. Even if you flash back to stock beforehand, some systems retain a log of calibration changes. from electronic tuning to physical structural changes. If you think that was strong, this next one goes even further. Number 5. Extreme rake and frame modifications. Extending the front end and raking the neck on a Harley frame transforms the stance of the bike. It also transforms your legal exposure. Georgia limits suspension lifts to 2 inches. Connecticut caps lifts at 4 inches. Extreme rakes that push the front wheel far forward can be deemed unsafe for street operation and result in the bike being impounded. The deeper issue is structural integrity. Cutting and welding a frame without proper jig alignment creates stress points that crack under load. If investigators determine your frame was modified outside manufacturer specifications, you face potential vehicular negligence charges on top of equipment violations. Insurance companies routinely deny claims on bikes with modified frames, regardless of whether the modification caused the accident. Let us move to something that seems like a small detail, but carries outsized consequences. And then there is this one. Number 4. Fender and reflector elimination. Chopping the rear fender on a Softail down to a minimal strip or removing it almost entirely is one of the cleanest visual modifications you can make. It gives the bike a sleek, stripped-down custom appearance that many riders love, but it is also one of the easiest ways to attract unwanted attention from law enforcement. Most states require a rear fender that covers at least the top portion of the tire and extends behind the axle to help reduce road spray and improve safety. Just as importantly, the factory rear fender serves as the mounting point for several legally required safety components, including reflectors. Under Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 108, motorcycles are required to have red rear reflectors and amber side reflectors positioned so they remain visible from significant distances, typically up to 600 feet under proper lighting conditions. Once the rear fender is removed, those reflectors usually disappear with it. During organized motorcycle events and safety checkpoints near rallies such as Sturgis, Daytona, and Laconia, inspectors frequently check motorcycles for reflector compliance, along with other equipment requirements. Many aftermarket fender elimination kits focus almost entirely on appearance and either omit replacement reflectors altogether or include ones that do not meet federal visibility and placement standards. The manufacturer sells the custom look, but making sure your motorcycle remains street legal is ultimately your responsibility. And this next one explains everything. Number 3. License plate modifications. Tucking your license plate beneath the rear fender, mounting it at an extreme side angle, using an undersized microplate bracket, or installing a tinted plate cover are all common modifications on custom Harleys. They may improve the motorcycle's appearance, but virtually every one of these changes violates vehicle equipment laws in most states. License plates are generally required to be mounted horizontally, properly illuminated after dark, and clearly visible from distances that typically range between 50 and 100 feet, depending on the jurisdiction. Side-mounted brackets that angle the plate too far away from perpendicular often fail to meet these visibility requirements, while tinted covers can make the numbers difficult or impossible to read under certain lighting conditions. Electronic license plate flippers take things even further. In many states, these devices can lead to far more serious criminal charges because they are specifically designed to conceal a vehicle's identity from law enforcement. Depending on local laws and how the device is used, the penalties can include substantial fines and even felony charges, carrying the possibility of prison time. Modern police vehicles are also equipped with automatic license plate reader systems, capable of scanning thousands of plates during a single shift. When your plate cannot be read because it is hidden, improperly mounted, or intentionally obscured, the system often flags the motorcycle for a manual traffic stop. Instead of helping you avoid attention, these modifications frequently accomplish the exact opposite by giving officers a clear reason to pull you over. Now let's move on to the modification that sits at the very heart of Harley-Davidson ownership. But wait until you see this one. Number 2. Undocumented engine swaps. Dropping a 117 cubic inch crate motor into your 2009 touring frame is a straightforward mechanical job. Making it legal is where riders fall apart. The frame VIN is the legal identity of your motorcycle. The engine carries a separate motor identification number, When those numbers do not match your registration, you have a problem. California requires engine swaps to go through CHPVIN verification and a Bureau of Automotive Repair referee inspection. The replacement engine must be the same year or newer than the frame. Failing to update your title after a swap is considered falsifying vehicle documentation in many states. In Wisconsin, a rider had his Harley forfeited entirely after police discovered the frame VIN had been ground off and an inconsistent number was hand-stamped on the engine cases. The court upheld the seizure and ruled the motorcycle was contraband. A $25,000 bike gone because the paperwork was never updated. And finally, the modification that the federal government went after Harley-Davidson themselves for selling. But that is nothing compared to this. Number 1. The Super Tuner and aftermarket emissions defeat devices. This is the modification that sits on more Harleys than any other item on this list, and it carries the heaviest legal weight. In 2016, the EPA and the Department of Justice reached a settlement with Harley-Davidson after alleging the company manufactured and sold approximately 340,000 devices called Super Tuners. These devices, sold directly through Harley-Davidson dealerships, allowed owners to modify their motorcycle's emissions control system to increase power and performance. The trade-off was a significant increase in hydrocarbon and nitrogen oxide emissions. Harley-Davidson was required to immediately stop selling the tuners, buy back every unit in dealer inventory, and destroy them. They paid a $12 million civil penalty and spent an additional $3 million on environmental mitigation projects. The DOJ called it one of the most significant mobile source enforcement actions in history. Here is what should concern every Harley rider. Those 340,000 Super Tuners did not disappear. Harley bought back dealer inventory, but thousands of units were already in riders' hands. Many are still installed on bikes being ridden on public roads today. Any rider currently operating a motorcycle with one of these devices is in violation of the Clean Air Act. The EPA has stated clearly that the device does not need to be activated to constitute a violation. Simply having it installed and connected is enough. The settlement also required Harley to spend $3 million on environmental mitigation projects to offset the pollution their own products caused. The aftermarket picked up where Harley left off. Companies like Vance and Hines, Dynajet, and others sell tuning devices that achieve similar results. The EPA has been systematically targeting these manufacturers. Penalties can reach $4,527 per device sold, and the agency is building databases of modified vehicles for future enforcement using VIN tracking from shop records and online purchase histories. Your dealership sold it. Your custom shop installed it. But when the EPA comes knocking, neither of them is listed on the violation notice. You are. If you like uncovering hidden truths, subscribe and join us again soon.